Hey traders, this is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and this is a quick weekend video. So usually I make weekend videos strictly for members, but I decided just to do a very quick video on a little bit about what we do at Tribeca Trade Group, some of the advantages. I know that I put out a lot of public information on my public information analysis on my regular Twitter feed, but you often don't get to see what I do as well for strictly for members. So this is a little bit of that. And what I'm going to be talking about is one of the stocks. I have two stocks of the week that I generally like to look at, to feature, and then of course we have other names that we look at in our analysis as they come up through the week. But the first stock that I'm going to talk about is Amazon, right? So of course, the video is for information purposes only. Here's our quick risk disclaimer. I'm not giving out any recommendations or advice or anything like that. Everything is information only. So that said, let's talk a little bit about Amazon. So this is, first of all, I use Slack for our trading room. It really kind of has a great organizational feature. It also, I also use private Twitter and so forth and put ideas out there and trade entries and so forth. But really, Slack is a wonderful application. It keeps me very organized in terms of my thoughts, my trade ideas, and members can access. You could see all the channels on the left, so you get a lot of resources as a Tribeca Trade Group member. But let's focus on the matter at hand here. So, first stock of the week is Amazon. What really has me excited about Amazon is that for the last couple quarters, besides the quarter that it just reported back on 130, but the reason why this name has been an underperformer of the market, it's kind of been stuck. It was stuck in a dull range, is because of their earnings. They missed analyst expectations 2 quarters in a row. And this quarter, they basically had to deliver, right? This is something that we talked about prior to Amazon reporting on 130. And I said, hey, it's got 2 strikes against it. If it fails again on an earnings quarter, this stock is going to get hurt, and it's going to kind of continue to be a relative underperformer. Now, so what's nice is they delivered, right? And we had an earnings trade on that worked very well. I'm also long this stock in the Tribeca Trade Group tactical portfolio, which is a stock single beta portfolio. So I'm up 12% in that name, which is really nice since I put that on about a month ago. I put Amazon. I wanted specifically to get exposure for Amazon into earnings because I didn't think they were going to have that third strike. And also by the number of packages that are in my building's lobby on a day-to-day basis, it just seems like there's more and more people that are using Amazon. Now, of course, that's only one part of their business. So now that we kind of have a picture of what has transpired with the last couple earnings, and to summarize that, the first thing that I want to focus on is the weekly chart. So I've kind of detailed this out. Weekly chart, remember, the weekly chart is a long-term chart. So if you're using weekly options to trade off a weekly chart, you're probably doing that the wrong way. But it's really nice to kind of give you a sense of what the trend looks like for Amazon and the longer picture, right? So the longer picture looks great. This is now breaking out. Look at how the price is now above where we were all the way back here. What is this, a couple years ago? Or no, this is 2018, so not that far ago. And then the peak of last year as well. So we're above that. That's great. That's what we want to see. The other thing that I notice here in this picture is that you've got a really long besides these 2 peaks, but it's basically been bottled up for a while, which is really good to kind of play. You've also got volume kind of confirming the move here. The value area for 2020, we're above. So as long as this thing is above, it's a good thing. Now, if it checks back at some point to 1926, that would be another buy area. I think back into 1926, but we're pretty far away from there. And but just again to kind of think about things longer term, if the market happens to kind of at some point have a correction or so forth, that 1926 may come into play, but not right now. So that's the longer term picture on the weekly chart. The daily chart, which we've also highlighted in here, I think that what I'm seeing is a couple different things, right? We've had this gap up on earnings. We're doing a little bit of consolidation. Friday's price was two things that we got from Friday. It had momentum in a pretty weak tape on Friday. And number two, it seems like after its reported earnings, it has brought out the call buying, right? So some of the momentum guys are now looking at this name, something that we really haven't seen. We've seen option activity before the last couple months in Amazon, but it's been very spotty and has not really shown that much conviction in terms of the size. But we're starting to see that change. Like Friday was a big call, big activity in calls. So how does this look? And let me just make sure I've got the right time frame up here. I should have a 10-year chart. So what's nice about this, I already talked about the weekly chart, the daily chart. What the MarketWebs indicator allows you to do is kind of map the stock out a little bit on different time frames and gives you a sense of what's going on. So we're above value here, right? We're way above value. So not only did we pass through what's known as R1, resistance number one, but we're also consolidating a little bit around R2. So notice the stock is a bit overbought on the RSI. It's a 76. So for me, I would, in a perfect world, right? I don't know if I'm going to get this, but this is what I would like to see, is this name just to kind of consolidate a little bit and put in a bull flag. But we know we don't always get that. So the stock could essentially can run more, but I want to be aware that once we get to R2, it's usually not a place where I want to like jump in and put on a bunch of risk. I would rather see the stock consolidate a little bit, burn off some of those levels. But again, that's what I really want. I don't know if I'm going to get that. Because once that happens, then I think we can continue with the uptrend. For now, what's really nice is what I like to turn to is the 1 hour, right? So again, I'm drawing in from the weekly to the daily, and then we can kind of see how is this setting up on the shorter term. And again, the value areas will give you a value area for the week, right? So notice we've got a really, last week, right? Today's Saturday. So last week we had a really big value area. For the most part, price stayed above value for the whole week, and then it really got going on Friday. The value area was really wide because these value areas are based on price, time, and volume. So price had a huge range because of the gap up on earnings. This week, we're going to get a little bit of a smaller value area. The value area is going to be between 2055 and all the way down here to 2013. The main thing to watch for next week is if the price can remain above 2055, right? So if we come back and, if there's some type of market weakness, if the price checks back to 2055, I'm going to be looking to kind of play this, maybe in shorter term options. And basically, because I think the stock is still a little bit extended, going back to that daily chart and talking about R2 resistance. And again, the R1 and R2 are mainly speed bumps, right? They're not necessarily like major resistance, but we often see consolidation at that R1 and R2, right? Back on the daily chart. So bottom line, I think for next week, 2055 is going to be the level to watch. What I'm going to be detailing in the trading room is how to trade this thing, right? So it's 2079. I mentioned I have a position on in stock, right? That's for my longer term trend trading account. But for kind of trading this for the short term, I'm going to resort to trading some short term options. The strategy that I'm going to use in detail in the trading room is basically using some call spreads, maybe using a little bit of put spreads to sell put spreads. So those would be bull put spreads. But that'll be something I'll be detailing in the room next week, depending on how we start off. So that's what has me really excited. That's stock number one for the week. I'll be detailing stock number two as well. But you could kind of see, again, just to give you a sense of what we're doing here in the trading room and how I've got it organized and laid out. And this will continue to kind of like acts like as a blog for members, and I can update and so forth as we go along. So if you're looking to join the Tribeca Trade Group, you could go to tribecatradegroup.com and you could join there. I'll also put the link. I'm going to send this out on Twitter, so I'll also put the link there. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions. But I'm excited, ready to go for next week. We've had a really good start to 2020 so far, so look to continue with that next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you on Monday.